Hey guys, welcome to AMA 12. This one's going to be just a bunch of answers to random questions which you asked, or good questions which you asked mostly on Facebook. We asked for your questions on social media. You were nice enough to provide them. We've got a bunch of questions here to answer, which means that we'll get a lot of questions that you were after, which should make it a good episode, hopefully. We'll get straight into it. Kieran Mitchell asks, are you using the one spot for washing, polishing and coating, or washing and prepping in another spot? Really good question. Something that I wanted to do for a while was to try and make the physical space more efficient, literally just pushing everything into the one spot. It's something you can't really do when you're doing much more volume than I'm doing, but I'm not. I do just 2 or 3 cars a week. In fact, the average the last few weeks has been 3 cars. So this is easier for me to achieve. But yeah, volume guys probably won't be able to do this. But basically, you have an area that is a wash bay and an area that you can also do paint correction in. And over the years, I've been trying to achieve this, and now I think I have. It's working out very, very well. For instance, today's a rainy day. I collected today's job from a customer in Melbourne's North, brought it back to the clean room, drove it inside to my converted garage / clean room, sealed the environment, could close the doors, both sides, put extraction fan on just to rid the gases. After 15 minutes, turned the extraction fan off, and I had everything prepped, washed the car, dried the car, and got everything ready for paint correction, which I'll start to do now. And the way I have it set up is bringing no issues. I thought something would come about, I'd find an issue, and then I should be able to fix it, but no issues so far. With the one exception, there's a little bit of humidity because you're washing in a sealed environment. You've got water left in this sealed environment, and even though I have a way to do that, it just takes some time. What I'm finding, the way around that is, what I usually do is, even if I'm not bringing a car in, I'll prep that car, I'll dry it, and I'll get it ready for paint correction, and then I'll go and take a break. So I'll come back in 15-20 minutes, and the place is almost dry, and the dehumidification system that I've got in there has worked, and it's brought it. I've got a temperature and a humidity that's now comfortable. I've got a dry and prepped car, and I'm ready to go. So I find no issue doing this, and I don't think that anyone would have an issue unless they were doing a lot of volume, which I'm not. I really like it because it makes everything more efficient. As soon as I'm done with the wash, I start drying. As soon as I'm done with the drying, I can get straight onto my decontamination. As soon as I'm done with that, I can get onto paint correction, basically go through the steps without having to move the car around. At the last place, 40 Production Drive, Campbellfield, which is a really good setup, we still had the wash bay separate to the clean room, and we still had to drive it from one place to another. And unfortunately, to get it from one place to another meant that if it was raining, we would get the car wet, we would get some rainwater on it. Not a big deal. I mean, it was all of a minute to remove that. But this just removes, you can see the obvious efficiencies from not having to move a car, and especially not having it to move where it would be subjected to weather. So I hope that helps. It's going very, very well. I'm finding no issues at all, actually really, really liking it. I've been very lucky with this what I thought was a risky move, working from home and converting a conventional car space into a clean room, but it's worked out really, really well. All right, next question is from Josh. Why does the body shampoo smell so good? Does it taste as good as it smells? Asking for a mate. Hey, Josh, just because I have to say, do not drink, even as a joke, any of the chemicals that we supply. Fragrances are really tough because they're so subjective. In fact, Mrs. Detail Stick does not like the smell of body shampoo. And after I've prepped a car, like I just answered that question, I said I might prep a car and then after, as in wash and decontaminate and everything, and then I'll come inside and have a break and maybe a lunch or morning tea or whatever, and she says, have you been using body shampoo? Because she can smell it, and she doesn't, it just gets to her for whatever reason. And then because I'm not a very good husband, I'm a bit of a smart ass, I say, yeah, I was doing my job. Yeah, it's a really difficult job, a frustratingly difficult job to come up with fragrances that the majority of your customers will enjoy. But I think we nailed it with a grape bubblegum flavor for body shampoo. I can't remember if we tested a few different fragrances for body shampoo early on, but either way, very early on we landed on this one, and very, very few customers that don't like it. The only one complaint we got a while back was that it was far too strong, and to reduce the strength of the fragrance, which we did. We may even reduce it down just a little bit more. Some customers saying a little bit more subtle wouldn't be a bad thing. Actually, I'd like your feedback on that. If would you be happy or unhappy if we reduced the strength of the fragrance in body shampoo? When we had the very, very first fragrance, which is vanilla, overwhelmingly beautiful product, but a lot of customers said, I just don't like vanilla, so I'm not going to buy that product. Then we released musk, and the same thing, overwhelmingly very, very well received, and a lot of people bought that product and still do, but a lot of people said, or some people said, I just don't like that smell. I don't like musk. I don't like musk sticks. Can you release something else? So we've released obviously 5 different fragrances now, and that's just something you have to do with fragrances. They're subjective. It's not like another product like a polish where it's either good or bad. It either works really well or it doesn't, or somewhere in between. There's better and there's worse. So fragrances are just purely subjective. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't. Derek asks, would love to know if you could develop something in between Gloss Boost and FMJSW, which stands for Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax. I love how easy it is to apply Gloss Boost, as the vehicle doesn't have to be 100% dry. I appreciate how applying Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax is very easy as well, but I find the need to spend considerable time drying the car. Gotcha. So I'd be keen to see something like Gloss Boost Plus that offers 1 month's protection, as that's sometimes how often I'm getting to the cars realistically. Derek, I hear you, mate. You've been a customer for a long time, and you're a customer when both of us didn't have kids and didn't have the busy lives we have now. I absolutely understand what it's like. As much as we still loved working on our cars, life gets much, much, much busier as you get older, and if you can make these processes more efficient, it's better. However, the issue for us is having Gloss Boost, Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax, Full Metal Jacket Paint Protection, and we have 2 Full Metal Jacket Spray Waxes running right now, the original formula and the AG version. We're going to phase out the original formula. Not now, don't get all in a panic. It's going to be a couple of years at least before we phase out that. We have phased out Full Metal Jacket Paint Protection, the original version, simply because no one was buying it, and we understand why no one was buying it. It was more expensive and it wasn't as good as the AG version. Gloss Boost and Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax are 2 completely different products, and the original version of Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax was a little bit more temperamental at the time when we released it, and still even now it's a very, very forgiving product. However, it could definitely have been improved. So we did that with Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax AG, the AG version. That product is much, much, much more forgiving when it's mixed with water. In fact, that's the first product that some customers are saying works better when you apply it to a wet surface. So they're applying it to the rinse water and then removing the rinse water and the excess wax in one step. This is not the first time a wax has been used this way, but this is the first time Final Inspection has specifically designed a spray wax to be used with wet surfaces. So if you're using Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax Original, which I think you are, try switching to the AG version of that, and you can apply it either to the rinse water, or you can do a very quick dry and then more effectively dry the car, perhaps with a paintwork cloth instead of a drying towel, and while you're using Full Metal Jacket AG. That's actually the way I apply it. So to my own vehicle, I wash the car, then I bulk dry the car very quickly, about 30 seconds. I just run a large drying towel over it and get 80 to 90% of the water off it. Then I go around with a paintwork cloth and Full Metal Jacket AG, and I start to coat the car. Then I use a little bit of compressed air with the same paintwork cloth just to get all the little drips and bits of water out, because I like a car to be bone dry, and just in case I drive it in a few hours after the wash, I don't want water leaking out of the mirrors and things and dirtying up this nice clean vehicle. So I use compressed air, and I continue to pick it up with that same cloth, and I find that to be very, very easy to do, quick, and forgiving. There's no smears or streaks or anything, even though you're diluting that product by applying it to water or having water come into the mix. Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax, the AG version, is a lot more forgiving if you're applying it in a humid environment, or if it's coming into contact with water, no matter how much water, then Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax Original. Okay, I hope that helps. So if you've got this issue, try the Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax AG version, and I'm confident that issue will no longer be an issue. Brett Pember, here we go. For the life of me, I cannot apply Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax to a dark colored car without smear lines being visible afterwards. Please share how you do it. All right. So just like Derek, I recommend switching to Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax, the AG version, because it is more forgiving for things like this. If you just, for whatever reason, you just prefer the original and you're having issues, it's probably because of humidity and temperature. It could also be because you may not have given the bottle a shake and mixed the contents even once. So if you use a product that's designed to be shaken well and mixed just before you've used it, and you haven't done that even once, you've now changed the balance of the raw ingredients inside the product so that the balance is off. And usually it breaks into two parts. So you'll have the solvents and you'll have the solids. And the solids, funnily enough, rise to the top, and the solvents stay on the bottom for this particular product. So if you don't shake it and you pump that, you're taking more of the solvents than the solids, and now you've essentially thickened the product and you've concentrated it. When you concentrate FMJSW, Full Metal Jacket Spray Wax, the original formula, when you do that, smears result generally, because you've got these solids going on and you don't have enough thinners to allow you to remove that product in a forgiving way. Now, if you do have this issue, there's a really quick way to solve it. Basically, after you've done the car, wherever you see the smears, and it's usually on a couple of the horizontal panels, and especially if they're warm, like the bonnet, grab your cloth that you're applying with, saturate that in water and wring it out so it's only a little damp now, and then get one new clean dry paintwork cloth. Wipe the panel down with your slightly damp cloth. What that'll do is it'll take all the excess off, and it'll remove whatever excess is on top that hasn't bonded to the surface. Then buff it with your dry cloth, and 10 out of 10 times I do that solves the issue. Yes, it's an extra step and it's not nice to do, but if you find that you've constantly got this issue, probably the best thing to do is just to switch to the AG version of the product, and that will solve that. I hope that helps. Wireworks wants me to talk about the Little Master. You know that's something we only talk about on our OnlyFans account. You're going to have to go there. Matt Lyle says, I know it's not in your nature to comment heavily or at all on other companies' products. No, it's not. But I'd really love you to review and compare other companies' products to your own so people can see before they buy the benefits. After converting from another company, Matt, I would actually love to do this. I would love as a job to review products, to review detailing products. How cool would that be? And not long ago, we came pretty close to doing that because someone had offered to buy Final Inspection, and they actually came really close to buying it. I thought it was going to go to a really good company who were going to keep me on for a little while, and then I was going to have to find a new job. So that didn't pan out for various reasons I won't go into. But I was just thinking, what would I do with myself? And I was starting to get a bit scared. What would I do with myself if I didn't, if I no longer ran Final Inspection? And one of the things I thought about doing was to review detailing products. The unfortunate thing about that is people do that now, and it's a minefield. It's if you're going to review a company's product, you have to make sure that you absolutely know what you're talking about. I'll give you an example. We had a customer, not a customer, actually not a customer, turned out to be a customer of one of our competitors who reviewed one of our products. And I actually believe he was attempting to review the product properly. However, instead, he misunderstood he didn't spend enough time researching, reading the directions of our product properly and using the product properly. He used it with it was a polish. He used it with the wrong pad and not our brand of pad. And then he commented on how he didn't like the subjective characteristics about the product, and basically said the product was no good. We gave him a quick call, and he was very, very good. I gave him a call personally, and I said, "Listen, you can't say that our product is no good. It's better than the product you're reviewing. I know, and here's why. And what you've done, the mistake you've made, is to use the product incorrectly, and then claim that the product isn't as good as the competing product based on your flawed methodology." He pulled his review, which was really good, and he actually issued an apology, which is even better. He didn't have many customers anyway, but basically this was it's more of a warning from me to him to say, here's how you can get into a lot of trouble. Final Inspection's a tiny company, and I think I'm a nice guy, and I generally call people if there's an issue, and we have a bit of a chat. But if, for instance, I won't mention companies, but there's some fairly large companies, and if you did the same thing to a couple of those large companies that I know really well, they wouldn't be so kind. They would bury you. There's probably this poor guy not worth much, so they may not chase him too much, but they'd come down pretty hard on him. If they wanted to, they could make your life really miserable. Because their first step wouldn't be to contact you and kind of warn you that this could be an issue. You'd be called by their legal team, and it'd be a really bad week for you. My point is, it's really difficult to do. We won't go anywhere near that because of it's a minefield that I don't want to get into. You could technically do it, but you have to be so careful to make sure that you're doing everything correctly, because if you leave any space at all, and I wouldn't blame one of our competitors for litigating if there was one slip up. It's unfortunate that it's too difficult to do. That's basically what it all boils down to. Not something that. It is making me uncomfortable even thinking about it, even talking about it. I'll also give you, it's so difficult to review detailing products. I'll give you one example of this. We private brand, so we make our products for other brands. And we had someone review two polishes again, Cap Heavy, and they're reviewing Cap Heavy against another polish that we manufacture for this other brand. That polish is not as good as Cap Heavy, because that other brand specifically asked us to allow for more profit margin in that formula. So it was a watered down version of Cap Heavy. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but basically think of it as a watered down version of Cap Heavy. Well, that reviewer chose that product over Cap Heavy and said that product was better. Now, really, it's only people that work at Final Inspection and understand what went into formulating that competitor's version of Cap Heavy that will understand that absolutely no way is anywhere near as good as Cap Heavy. It just isn't. For starters, it was sold at a lower retail price, and it was manufactured at almost half the price that we manufacture Cap Heavy at. They needed the price to come down to be able to compete with us. They needed a lower, for whatever reason, they decided they needed a lower retail price. So they had us manufacture this, as I said, basically watered down version of Cap Heavy. But this reviewer said that product was better than Cap Heavy. It wasn't. Statistically, it just flat out isn't. But his opinion was that product was better. He didn't share it as an opinion, though. He passed it off as fact. He said, here's why this product is better. But unfortunately, he didn't have the technical ability to understand both products. And therefore, he made what could be, if I was a nasty person from a much bigger company, or even now, I could have made his life miserable because he made a mistake. And unfortunately, there are companies that will do that. They won't give you a second chance. They'll immediately just go through the legal process, and like I said, you're going to have a bad week. So you can probably feel the tension. I just the best way to describe it is just a minefield that you don't want to get into, unfortunately. Otherwise, it would be really cool. So that's it for AMA 12. Actually, not a lot of questions, but they are good ones, really good ones, and I hope you got something out of my answers. I hope they made sense and it wasn't too much of a incoherent rant like I always think it is. This probably will be the last time I speak to you for 2022. So have a good Christmas and New Year's, and I'll see you hopefully with many, many more videos in 2023. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your support in 2022. Thanks for purchasing detailing services and buying detailing products. Our family really appreciates it. Thank you very much.